Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Today we're going to be going for the International A license. Last time we went for the International B, that was a whole roller coaster, but we did eventually get all golds, so hopefully this one is much the same. So we're going to start this one off though by buying a brand new car from the Haggerty collection, and we're going to pick up an old Corvette. So yeah, I like the old Corvettes, so that is pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, back on topic. Yeah, International A license. Just before I start even going through and putting this video together, I will mention that I have 25 individual video files going into this one, so yeah, it's a bit of a whole mess at the moment, but we'll work through it and get there in the end. But just to give you an idea of potentially how long this took, a typical F122 video might have, or standard menu book Gran Turismo video might have 3 or 4 video files at the most. So yeah, it's a lot, but we will get there eventually. So, heading into this one then, let's see. With our first challenge is on the far left there, International A1. Let's get into it. So, International A1 is a racing line type challenge, expert level we are apparently, or what we are going for. And it is the first corner or 2 corners of Suzuka. I never know if this is classified as 1 or 2 corners. I've seen it differently on different maps. But anyway, we make it around in one piece, and at the first time of asking, we grab silver and aren't too far away from gold. We need to improve by a 1/10, and after a couple of minutes of trying, we do find that time, and here is the gold time. So yeah, just basically trying to maximize the braking zone. We're actually a little bit behind the Ghost there, but keeping the car tight on the inside so we can run it out wide on the exit and carry the speed there, and that is how we got a gold time. On to International A2 then, and we have consecutive corners expert as our next test. So here we go for that one. We are at Tokyo Expressway for this one, and we just have to manage this very oddly shaped multiple apex right-hander that is almost 270 degrees, and then a weird double apex left-hander after that. It's an odd section of the circuit, hard to get right, but we actually got through there okay, and we do make it to the end and get a 25.633, and we are a little way off the gold time, so we will need to go again and try to improve that, and a few minutes later we do get the gold time. This one wasn't terribly difficult once you learn how this car behaves. Keeping it a little bit tighter on the inside than our ghosty friend there, and that's just the shorter line there, gaining us some time. Cutting that corner on the left there quite a lot, getting away with it, and then short run to the line on the left hand side, and we get a 55, and we get a gold time quite easily. Alrighty, so the next test, another Rally 1 dirt driving expert. That's not what I am. Do not call me a dirt driving expert, Mr. License instructor. Even if I do get a gold on this, I am still not a dirt driving expert, that is for sure. But this one is at Fisherman's Ranch, which is by far the hardest of the dirt tracks in Gran Turismo 7. After having experienced them all, the other ones, Sardinia and Colorado Springs, are sort of a lot smoother, I guess. This one is very, very rough, and yeah, just very hard. Whee! Over the finish line. And we do eventually get a bronze after a couple of attempts, 35.708, but we want gold. And after another 5 minutes of trying, we do eventually get gold. This one didn't take anywhere near as long as the other one. Although that said, once we had the correct tyres, after that little glitch was fixed, we did it in 2 attempts, so I guess there is that too. But anyway, yeah, we did take a little while. The main issue I've sort of found with this particular test is for the couple of jumps, the car can be very unpredictable when it lands, and it's very difficult to get a smooth landing. Like I said, I'm not a rally expert. I don't know how to drive these cars properly, but eventually we do set a 34.033, which absolutely smashes the gold time. So very happy with that one. And yeah, this has a weird tendency to happen where I can be so close to getting gold for so long, and then when I do get gold, I'll absolutely smash it by a significant margin. It's happened way more often than it should. It's not too often. It's happened a few times recently, I guess, but in general, it's not too often I get gold by a small margin. It's always close, and then smash it. I don't know why. It's incredibly frustrating. I was like, well, where was all that time before? But anyway, thankfully, like I said, this one probably took maybe 6 or 7 minutes in total. It wasn't a terribly difficult one as far as rally license tests go. There's a big jump, and there is the end of that one, and a gold trophy for us. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one takes us to Maggiore, I believe, driving a Ferrari, and his consecutive corners once again. And this is a car I actually do really like. Maybe not necessarily to drive, but anyway, maybe I'll explain in a future video my attachment to this car. But for now, we will continue to push on through our first attempt at this license test, and I can already tell that this is going to be a tricky one. I'm not a huge fan of the first few corners of this track in the first place, and this car is not one of the easiest to drive. It's not bad, but there are better, and it does take us a good 15 minutes after that bronze time to eventually improve to a gold time. But we did get there eventually, and that is the run that you are seeing now, the gold run. So you can see much better on the apex there. I'm actually surprised that first run was good enough for bronze at all, because it was pretty terrible. But anyway, we will be grateful for that, and we'll continue to push on towards gold as we are doing now. And trying to get back to the left there to open up this right-hander. You really have to maximize as much as you can in this car, because the turning circle isn't great. But there you go, 34.504, and we get the gold from that. On to International A5, then consecutive corners expert 3, and we've got Nissan R92, and we have to contend with the last part of the Le Mans circuit, the Porsche curves, and New Maison Blanche. So yeah, this is not going to be easy, I don't think. These cars are potentially a little bit fast for my liking. I tend to prefer, production cars and GT3s and Gran Turismo. These faster cars, they're too fast for me. I can't keep up with them, basically, to put it simply. But we do a 30.466, and that does get us a bronze. And around about 12 minutes later, we do eventually improve to gold. So in the end, not the hardest one we've had to deal with so far. The Ferrari at Maggiore did take us slightly longer. So yeah, this it wasn't actually as difficult to get used to as I expected. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. And not the greatest run through that right-hander, but the run was good enough to beat our Ghost by a chunk. And we get a 28.153, which is a gold by just under half a tenth. So that's pretty good. We move on then to International A Part 6, corners with elevation changes 2. And we're at Laguna Seca, a circuit I feel like has been a little underused in this game so far. and we have a Dodge Viper, so this can only go well as we head down the corkscrew and then through the downhill sloping left-hander, and we get through there fairly cleanly. Bit of a slide on the exit, and it's 21.349, so we need to improve by about a second to get gold. So that's a lot of time to find, and it does take us a little while to get there, but we eventually will find that chunk of time, and this is the gold run here. So actually just diving straight for the apex there through the left-hander and absolutely cutting these corners as much as we can get away with. Get to the right-hand side of the road to open up this left-hander. There was quite a technique to this one. Used up as much road as possible on the exit, and we get there by just over a tenth, or just under a tenth. So yeah, that one did take a little bit of doing to actually sort of get that technique down, but in terms of actual time, it wasn't the worst one. So yeah, it's was one of those ones where you had to I guess get the technique right, whereas there were others like the R92 Nissan at Le Mans, where you know you could get away with a little mistake, but the car was probably harder to drive than this, being so fast. But anyway, we'll move on to the next test, International A7 cornering in the wet expert. And yeah, this is another rain one. We struggled a little bit with the last one. This one is at Tsukuba, which is a circuit I know quite well, so hopefully this one will not be as difficult. It is absolutely chucking it down though. Listen to all that rain pouring down and spraying off the tyres as well. But anyway, we are very slowly navigating the hairpin as we come towards the line. We'll find out what our first time is. No real mistakes in that run. No having to retry after going off the road. It's 29.939, so some time to find in order to get gold. We need 29.6. So yeah, we need to find a small chunk of time, not too much though. Around about 4/10 will get us there. So let's see what we can do on our second attempt as we run through this couple of very slight left-handers. We're gaining on our Ghost through there, just being a little more confident in these conditions now as we tip it in to the right-hander and sliding a little on the exit, but power down as much as we dare and towards the line. It's a 29.321, and that is gold by a chunk. So yeah, almost 3/10 of a second clear. So we move on to the next one. Tricky consecutive corners 1, International International A8. So let's see how this one goes. We've got a Toyota Supra this time, so good car. Let's see how it handles these tricky consecutive corners. Bouncing over the curb a bit awkwardly there. That'll cost us a little bit of time. This is not our first attempt, by the way. We did make a few mistakes, run off the road a few times, but this is the first attempt we made to the end, and what is it, to a 24.752, and that is well over a second away from the gold time, so we need to gain almost a second and a half to get gold. And for context, that last clip was recorded at about 3:15 in the afternoon. This clip was recorded about 7:15. That's how long it took to get gold in this license test. This was absolute pain, honestly. By far the hardest so far. I would say harder than the Rally Lancer one, or the International B5 I think it was. That was painful, but this took it to a new level, because at least the other one you could blame it on a bug in the game. This one, it was just hard. So yeah, I don't know, you'll notice that I even took shortcuts in that, which normally you can't do in license tests, but we got away with it. So I don't know how that happened, but honestly, without doing that, I don't know how we could have gotten a gold award, because that gold time, like you can see it there, cutting across the grass a little bit, and not so much on that right-hander, but on this one, a left-hander rather, right of screen. But yeah, you can see as we cut to this camera angle, we were well off the road, well and truly. So I don't know how you're supposed to get gold without doing that. By the way, we drove 178 kilometers trying to do that license test. So we move on to the next one then. Tricky consecutive corners to International A9. We're in a Renault, let's get racing. for this license test. Now, there's a lot to do in this one. The gold time is 39.2 seconds. There's a lot of corners you can do in Deep Forest in that amount of time. So there's a lot to get right, which also means there's a lot to get wrong, potentially. So this is going to be another tricky one. I think this could be another one that takes us quite a while, especially with this car. I don't really know how to describe the handling, honestly. It's a little bit strange in the way that it can be quite snappy, but also has a tendency to understeer. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird dynamic driving this car, but nonetheless, we do eventually get a bronze at 41.808, but we're still a long way away from a gold time. So it will, and it did, take us a long time to get gold. And eventually, as I mentioned, we did. So let's check out that one and see the difference in what a gold run looks like versus the bronze. So here we go. And basically, we're trying to just, it sounds simple, carry the speed and hit the apexes. That's how you drive racing cars, but it's strangely hard to do in this car. To actually get to the apexes, this car's very, I guess, punishing of mistakes. If you run a little bit wide of an apex, you'll really feel it on the stopwatch versus other cars, I think. But eventually we do get a clean run, and we do a 38.907, and absolutely smash the gold time by 3/10. So once again, it's a case of close, 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 and then smash it. And by the way, we drove 193.4 kilometers in this license test, so even more than the last one. However, I get the feeling that is nothing to what we are about to go through in the final International A number 10, because this one is at the Nürburgring, so there is an issue straight away. But even more so than that, we have a road car, not any form of racing car, so downforce and grip in general are very much limited. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. The bronze time is well over a minute, so this is clearly a very long section of the circuit. And once again, a bit like Deep Forest, there is a lot to get right if we want to get gold. But let's focus on actually making it to the end, because at this point that you see now, I've been trying this challenge for around about 10 minutes, and I still have not been able to make it to the end of the course. So let's try to do that and actually set a benchmark time to work from. So we eventually do see the checkered flags and take them, and we set a minute 4.491, and that is part one, and that is actually the best I could do on the day. And as we come back the next day, returning to the license center, I believe I actually left the game running in the license center, and an update kicked me out, which is how we ended up back on the main menu. We do get our reward card because we did actually get the International A license. So yeah, I don't know if we actually missed the cutscene for that or not, but anyway, we'll see if we get that eventually, or if that doesn't happen. But we move on, and now this is finally our gold run. This was recorded 5 days after the bronze run you saw earlier, and there were many incremental improvements in that time, but to avoid this video getting as long as the last license test video, I decided to just continue showing the bronze and the gold runs, and yeah, we won't make a whole big deal about it like we did with the Lancer challenge from International B. So right now I've actually got the demonstration ghost, not my own, and we're actually keeping up with it pretty well, which is quite rare for me. So this has been a very, very good run, so hopefully we can hold on to this as we continue to push through. We make a bit of a mistake there, dropping a little far back, further than I would like to, as we come around the final corner. A little bit awkward through there as well. We come across the line and we just barely get gold by 18 thousandths of a second. But gold is gold, and we've finally done it. That was a very long one as well, and I wouldn't actually say, I don't remember this one being a particularly frustrating or painful one, because we were continuously making incremental improvements, and in the end, this car wasn't an annoying car to drive like say the Porsche was in the previous one, the whatever that electric thing was. Anyway, but yeah, this car was actually pretty nice to drive after I got used to it. So yeah, no real complaints about it. It just took a long time because it was hard. But like I said, that's what the license tests are about, being just very, very difficult. But we got there eventually, and now we've just got the super licenses to go. And I'm gonna say it now, I don't think we're gonna get all gold in the super licenses, because I think they're full laps of circuits, and that is too much. There is a limit, but I'll give it my best shot. Maybe we can get gold in a couple of them. So here we go, cross the line and gold, finally. Alright, well, that pretty much brings this video to a close. I think we've just hit the 21-minute mark, so yeah, much shorter than the previous license test video. But there are still a few more things I want to get through before we finish this one off. Firstly, 500 kilometers driven in that license test. My goodness, that is insane. And of course, the prize car. And for this one, we get an Alpine A110. 2017, not the old one. So that is pretty cool. I will certainly take that. It's a nice looking car, and something a little unique, I suppose, for the ever-expanding collection of cars we have. So yeah, we don't get the little pop-up on screen to say we got the International A license. We missed that one, so that's a little unfortunate, but nonetheless, we now have it, and that is one more little section of things done in this game. So that is awesome, and that means next time, maybe, I'm not sure, we will do the super license at some point in the near future anyway. But yeah, other than that, there is not much else left to cover, so I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, always very helpful. Other than that, I will see you next time. Goodbye.